Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois, the newest show coming to the CW and the Arrowverse and stuff. So while the current pandemic, and I guess you could say the precautions taken due to it around the world, did cause productions across TV and film that were currently in production to shut down, what also was affected obviously was productions that were starting up, and everything hit the fan just as pilot season was about to get revved up and take off. There were some cases where pilots were already in the process of filming, and I think even some might have finished, I'm pretty sure, but the main chunk of pilot season was in the early stages or about to start, and in regards to the Arrowverse and DC TV side of things, the new big show for the CW was affected, that of course being Superman and Lois. Now, even though Superman and Lois was impacted and won't, be filming their pilot for the next couple of months, they will most likely just move straight into their normal season. So they'll just film the pilot and then just go, okay, episode 2, 3, 4, keep going and stuff like that. When usually they'd film the pilot in like March, April, then not come back till July to start episode 2 or 3. Sometimes they film the first 2 episodes along with the pilot, or sometimes they go pilot, then just come back in episode 2, 3, 4, and onwards. But yeah, even due to that, more news and casting has come out for the show as they do finalize the cast for it. So over the past couple of weeks, roughly, this has happened, and they actually haven't cast everyone. I think one will be announced hopefully soon, but one may remain a secret for as long as they possibly can, but I guess that is for us to wait and find out. But yeah, in this video we will be going over those new casting announcements as well as some stuff to potentially expect in the new show coming to the Arrowverse. But yeah guys, throughout the video be sure to let me know your various opinions on what we go over, which of these castings in this news gets you excited the most, and of course if you're going to enjoy the video and all that, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support and excitement. But yeah, let's go over these new castings for Superman and Lois, and the first one is the casting of a returning character technically, and that is Lois Lane's father, that of course being General Sam Lane. And this is actually a character that already existed in the Arrowverse as he appeared back in season 1 of Supergirl, but this is actually a recasting. So back in season 1 of Supergirl, Glenn Morshower, I think it's how you pronounce it, played General Sam Lane or Samuel Lane. But for Superman and Lois, Dylan Walsh has been cast in the role. Now, General Sam Lane is described as a no-nonsense army general who's determined to keep America and the world safe from all threats from this world or beyond. Now, looking at him, I can see him fitting that military persona and figure and stuff, but it will be interesting to see how he folds into the show consistently throughout the opening season at the very least, because we already know that the series, for the most part at least, will take place in just Smallville. I think it's meant to start in Metropolis, but then it goes to Smallville fairly soon after it starts. So you'd have to think something in Smallville, or something going on there, keeps him situated there for an extended period of time. Now, there were some saying that he was too young to play the role of Lois Lane's father, as I think the actor is about maybe 16 or 17 years older or something than who's playing Lois Lane. But in TV land, 17 years is 40 years older on screen. So I thought that criticism was a bit silly and just people nitpicking. But I am intrigued to see whether they actually reference anything from the events of Supergirl season 1, or because we're in this post-crisis timeline, whether maybe none of that happened or something like that. I'll have to wait and see how they go about that, I guess. Because that can be an awkward thing when you recast a character, is whether you actually even refer back to stuff with the old version, if that makes sense. But next up we have the casting of Lana Lang, who of course was a character we saw on the original show, Smallville, in regards to this, I guess, what is now the Arrowverse, and played a major role there. But this time on Superman and Lois, we will be seeing a varied take on Lana, which should be interesting, so different than anything we really saw on Smallville. Now for Lana Lang, they have cast Emmanuel Shigri, I think it is, Shrigi, I think it's how you pronounce it. I think it's Shrigi. I might be pronouncing it completely wrong. She's recognizable, I'm sure most of you know her, but I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I think it's Shrigi. I think it's how you pronounce it, Shrigi or something like that. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I most likely am. Now, Lana on Superman and Lois is a lone officer at Smallville Bank who stayed in Smallville when others left for something bigger and brighter. She re-establishes her friendship with her old friend Clark Kent during one of the most difficult periods in her life. Now, I personally think this is a great casting for Lana. Emmanuel is a great actress. I'm sure most people would remember her from things like Entourage, or even Don't Mess with the Zohan if you watched that when you were younger, amongst other things. Now, it is interesting, whether Lana is, sort of regrets not leaving Smallville, because they obviously refer to how, she's, one of the few who stayed back when everyone else left, whether it was all of her friends, or maybe just a couple stayed and everyone else left. So it is going to be interesting to see what she's like in regards to this take on Lana in Smallville, because Obviously, Lana on this show, staying in Smallville, because obviously when we go back to the show of Smallville and the version of Lana there, it was a bit different, and that Lana wouldn't have done what this Lana's doing. So I like that they're doing a bit different. Obviously, it's an older take on it. So yeah, hopefully they go good with it because they got a good actress in the role. But on the topic of Lana, her husband on Superman and Lois has also been cast. Now, this character is known as Kyle Cushing. I don't think he's from the comics, and Eric Valdez has been cast in the role of Kyle. Now, Kyle Cushing is Smallville's fire chief and local hero who's seen his fair share of tragedy. Small town raised with small town beliefs, Kyle doesn't care much for the big city and often butts heads with people that come from it. Now, this role is a dramatic one. I think throughout the first season, we will see a lot of emotion and struggle from the the Lang Cushing family in the present day, as well as potential flashbacks due to some events that have gone down recently within the family. But you never know, maybe the shining beacon of hope known as Superman and his family may be able to help things, even if it is in the smallest possible way. But obviously it does say that Kyle butts heads with people from the big city and stuff. Obviously that's where Clark and Lois will be from, and I guess he's going to be butting heads with Clark because he's probably going to be spending time talking to Lana, and he's probably going to be like, hey, you're trying to take my wife? I really don't like that. So I'm guessing that's what that might be alluding to. Now, I think in one of the other previous descriptions, it did say that Kyle was, I think, an alcoholic or dealing with it, like maybe some depression and stuff like that. So I guess maybe he's gone through a tragedy in regards, maybe there's a big fire, maybe he experienced something and he's dealing with that with alcohol and stuff. So they might be dealing with that throughout the show, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, as I was saying towards the opening of the video, there are still two roles, well, major roles to be cast for Superman and Lois. The first of these is the recast of Morgan Edge, who of course we had back, and I think it was season 3 of Supergirl. I'm actually sort of disappointed this is being recast, as they had a really good actor in the role. But I'm interested to see who they do pick up. Seeing the rest of the casting has been pretty strong for the show. And by the sounds of it, Morgan's role in the show would be a fun role to play. So I'm intrigued to see who they get. And the second role is that of the Stranger, who appears will be the villain for the season, or this season for Superman. But that might be, one who they try and keep as secret as possible for as long as possible. Whether they can keep that secret is for us to wait and find out, though. Now, one of the big questions going into this season, into the show in general, is whether Superman will get a new suit. Now, obviously, we've had the same suit for Superman in the Arrowverse since season 2 of Supergirl, when he appeared in the first 2 episodes, and I think the finale for that season as well. But the thing is, he hasn't really appeared enough to warrant getting a new suit. Like, really, in total, he's only been in like under 10 episodes, I think, with that suit. So there's never been a need to make a new suit. It would have been a waste of money to do that, but it was worth it initially because you need the suit anyway for him to appear. However, heading into his new show, you think they would have a bigger, or at least a budget where they can produce a new suit. It would feel weird if we didn't get one. Now, there was this concept art that went online. I want to say it was in January. I think actually it has a date there. It says the 15th of the 1st, 2020, which is the 15th of January 2020. So it was the beginning of this year. I was going to say might have been at the end of last year. But yeah, beginning of this year, about a week or two before Crisis came back for its final parts. Now, it does look like a legitimate suit. Now, there were people picking it apart online in regards to saying, well, it's used from different images online, but that's what they do with the concept art. They pretty much take previous pictures of the actor and then build the suit around that, because it's not taken from an actual picture. They come in, like, smile at the camera and go, cheese. They get it from the internet, and that's how they do the concept art. I'm not saying it's legitimate. It looks exactly like other concept art that we've had on the show, but I'm not saying it's legitimate at all. But it gives you a good idea maybe what the suit could look like. I think if we do get a new suit, it will pretty much look like something like this. I think they'll go for something that stands out. Because the suit I think we've got at the moment is okay. The cape is a bit weird, but I think overall it's a decent suit. But I think it still should be improved heading into his own show. So I'm intrigued to see what they do for his new suit. In regards to the suit production, it would have actually been like the place where they make the suits would have been shut down, like many other workplaces, due to what's going on. But Superman and Lois was only a couple of weeks away from the start of filming. So if there was a new suit, it would be done most likely. But what I think might happen is that when we start the show, he has the suit that we've seen before, in Crisis and Elseworlds and all the other times he's appeared. But then maybe towards the end of the pilot, he gets a new suit. Who makes it, I don't know. Maybe he makes it himself. Maybe it's an old one. Maybe it's a Superman suit that he had back in the day, and the one that he's wearing now gets destroyed, so he puts on an older suit. But then for some reason, I guess it would seem a bit weird, but the older suit looks better than the new suit, if that makes sense. So maybe they might do that. because I know who would make his new suit, but maybe there's a Cisco in Smallville that we never knew about. Maybe Pete Ross is that Smallville. Maybe Pete Ross is that Cisco in Smallville, might I say. But I have to wait and see what they do. But I think he'll get a new suit. I think we'd all be very, very surprised if Superman did not get a new suit on his own, new show. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and show support. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on these various castings? Are you excited by any of them? What would be your ideal Superman suit? Like, does this one that, from the concept art look good enough to you? Or what changes would you make to this one specifically, to make it a bit better and more what you would like in this show? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.